So I think we're ready to begin. Does everyone know Leonela Alejandro? This is her right here. She's teaching our master class today. She's also one of our adjudicators for the competition tomorrow. And she's doing a concert tomorrow night. So if you haven't gotten your ticket for the concert tomorrow night, you want to make sure you do that. The way we're going to do this today is we will have everyone who wants to play, hopefully, who all wants to play first of all? Can you just raise your hand? How many people do I have that want to play? Don't be shy, I need to know. So you want to play? Jen, are you playing? Not playing? Are you playing? Yeah, you're Haley, right? Okay. Anybody else? Okay, you're playing? Brighton, are you playing?
No, sir.
Okay, all right, so what we'll do is as you come up, tell us your name and what piece you're playing, and I'm going to videotape the lesson with you, and then that will be available to you. I'll send you a link to that if you would like to see that. Sometime in the future you'll have that option, okay? So everyone please welcome our master class instructor, Leonela Alejandro.
Joe, will you be taking time?
I will keep time.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Do you hear music?
My name is Ezekiel Brito, and I'll be playing Etude 1 by Brouwer.
So right now, the way that you're playing it, do you have specific goals in mind for your progress in this piece, for what you want to accomplish, what you're feeling, just anything that you want to kind of work on from the beginning?
Sure. So it's a simple piece in many ways. So there's a lot of tone changes that I've been working on, working from closer to the bridge, further to the bridge. That just kind of charging a little bit more emotion because of the simplistic nature of it. Actually working on quiet, louder, those are different things for this piece.
Yeah, really, really good. I mean, it's an etude, and it's a simple etude, but I think when you approach it with the mentality of a performance piece, then you can definitely get a lot more emotion, a lot of more phrasing out of it than if you were just thinking of this as a simple etude. And I think with this piece specifically, the way that I would try to do that is to really highlight the bass a little bit more and kind of move forward or move back, basically show direction of the piece through the bass and have that be kind of the drive of the piece. So I think I want to look at a couple of little technical suggestions for you that will just be suggestions. You can choose if you want to apply them or not, but I think if we tweak a couple of things or adjust a couple of things in your hands, and maybe a little bit your position, just a little bit, I think you might. Do you ever feel tension in your back when you're playing? Yeah, because I noticed with your position, you kind of rotate to one side of your body, and already you're kind of going to be at a disadvantage of finding the center in your position you're playing, and when you're rotating and like kind of corkscrewing to one side, then it might have some tension that's causing problems as well as on your hand. So even if it doesn't feel like it's all together and all attached, one thing can be affecting the other. So yeah, I think we can start with that. I'm gonna bring my guitar out and then look at some things. So I'll just show you my approach when trying to figure out my guitar position. I basically try to first find a good center in my own body and then adjust my position around that. So I use a guitar support. I don't think you necessarily have to use a guitar support to do this, but I think it helps. But we can definitely do it around the footstool as well. So I think what I'll have you do, actually, is I'll take your guitar, and then can you try to find a seating position that feels nice and centered for you? Yeah. Okay. So I think it might be helpful for you to find a little bit more distance in your leg and bring it out a little bit. Find a little bit more of that angle where you have like 90 degrees. Sorry, I'm just moving the arm around. And then just find a good center in your posture. Try to feel like you're sitting on your sitting bones. So like just the base and the bottom, there's like a weird bony bit. And if you feel the stability there, you're gonna feel like you can hinge freely forward and back from your hip. So I'll let you hold this for a moment. So if you feel a hinge right here and you're sitting at a good position, where you feel centered and comfortable and you're sitting on both of your sitting bones and not one side or the other, you're gonna feel like you have a lot of range of motion forward and back, side to side. So once you have that, I'll take your guitar again. See, once you grab your guitar, you rotate to your left side a little bit. So can you just try to find your center, and then I'll place the guitar here. Yeah. And it might feel a little bit weird at first, but something that I like to do with my guitar is kind of angle it a little bit more. So the top of the guitar right here is kind of resting on your sternum. So I try to think of like a 3 points that are kind of like in contact with the guitar. So both of my legs and then this. And it feels stable to the point where like if I put my hands down from the guitar, it can stay there in a way that's really stable. I mean, of course, for me it helps because I have this, which causes a little bit of grip, but it's kind of like a general thing. And then, so when I'm trying to be really mindful, I'm not going to one side, but I know that I have to adjust something in the guitar and kind of lean it a little bit so your shoulder here can go a little bit back. And then bring your, yeah, exactly. And then bring your hand, your playing position here. Exactly, and I think that adds a little bit more, less locking to one side. And once you kind of find the position of your guitar kind of that is more centered and you have the 3 points of contact, then it's a matter of like bringing your hands up. And I think from there, it's just a suggestion, but I think it's easier to arrange hands around that. So I wanted to look at your right hand specifically. I noticed a lot that the way that you have your thumb, you keep your joint bent. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Are you looking at your teacher? Is your teacher here? Do you tell them to not do that?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So I think that you can find a lot less tension. So when I attack and when I think of the movement in guitar, I try to constantly always be thinking of it coming from larger areas. So when I'm thinking of my attack on my hands, my fingers, I'm not thinking of the movement so much coming from just the finger. It's coming from the rest of my hand muscles and then my forearm. So in the thumb, it's kind of the same thing. And the thumb is unique because the joints seem different. So our main joints on our other fingers are here, but our main thumb joint is not this. It's all the way down here, right? So when I think of the thumb movement, I think of it starting here. And when you have kind of like a straight finger without any bend in the joints, then I feel like you can have a much more targeted attack with more power, but less tension. So to me, this and having this part of the thumb relaxed is more effective than this. and I think you can get a nicer tone because you get more of a combination of flesh with the nail versus this, I think, kind of targets just one part of the nail and doesn't give so much roundness. And especially when we're looking at this etude that it has so much thumb and you really want to find roundness in your tone and the attack, then I think you do need kind of a straighter thumb. So can you show me your hand position, what you would do? Yeah. See, when you already have your hand like that, it already, I think, frees up your hand a little bit to have a more neutral resting state and then attack your thumb. Yeah. So now what I'm gonna have you do is, sorry, do you mind if I touch your hand? So I try to get a little bit closer in the forearm so I can be a little bit closer to the strings. And it's not necessarily that you have to go like this. You can keep your position, but it's finding a little bit more curve in your fingers. So when you attack, for me, what's really something really important is not just playing from the nails. It's having contact with your flesh. And your nails are short enough, I think, that allow you to get a lot of contact, which I think is good. And that really allows you to have a lot more, I think, stability and like intention when you attack, and that includes the thumb. So when you play here in your thumb, instead of just going like this, you can go more like this and feel more in your thumb and get more power and depth in your sound. And when you have a little bit more angle in the wrist, like how you have right now, I think that gives you more space and area to do that. So can you show me the thumb with that? Do you see how now your contact is the flesh and the fingernail? I think that helps to get a little bit more fuller sound. And if you want to exaggerate it even a little bit more, you can have even a little bit more angle and attack a little bit higher instead of this way. Exactly. And so, especially when I'm trying to get more sound, I'm gonna put this here. When I want to get more fullness and sound, I try to find that angle of the attack where instead of being flat here, so contact here, kind of in the corner of my finger, my thumb, and a little bit of weight down into the string and release. Exactly. And it's just more full and clear versus this. And they're both really nice sounds that I think have different effects, but I think for this type of playing and this type of etude, it will make it more clear with the direction that you want to move. So, with all that being said, let's look at the etude. I think I would like you to just play the bass and show me how you would like to phrase and move direction with just the bass. So whatever tempo feels comfortable, I just want to hear the bottom without this. You can do it as slow as you need to. See, like here, watch that your thumb is not doing that. And I think it will help a little bit if instead of your wrist going that way, you find a little bit more straight, so this bone kind of aligns a little bit more with the rest of your hand. And then a little bit more curve here so that you can attack more from here without having to do this. Okay, one more time. Let's go from the beginning. Watch your joints. So here, watch your wrist. So relax this part. What I don't want you to do is going this way or that way. Just try to find a good center. A little bit of bend here on the wrist, and I'll make this motion. See, naturally your hand wants to do this. This feels probably a little bit weird. Can you try it? Right? You don't feel like you can do the full motion. Do the other way. Also feels a little bit weird. So to me, this is maybe what feels the most natural in an instrument that we're doing a lot of very unnatural things. And I think it can be helpful. It'll give your thumb more room to be straight and attack more with nail as well, with a little bit of flesh, exactly. And then I would encourage you to try to grow your thumbnail just a little bit more so that you can do what you're doing, which is great, getting a lot of contact with the fingertip, but also getting the brightness that you can only get from just having nail, right? Yeah, really, really great. So I want you to exaggerate the phrasing a little bit more. And a great starting point for me is always just following what is on the score before you decide if you agree with it or not. So I like this idea. So starting out, really a lot of presence and having the accents on the bass. So and for me, all of this is just one phrase, right? Ending here. Even though technically it's the start of a new phrase, but I would follow this all the way to here, so. Softer. And then here, changing what is driving it, which now it's gonna be this top line, right? So let's try again. I'll just have you do the bass again. Really, really exaggerate it. If it sounds too big or too crazy, it's okay. I want you to really exaggerate it. So here, a lot of power. Here, really exaggerate the softness. Power again, softness again. And then we'll try to stop here. Yeah, really good. So when you feel, I think sometimes when you're trying to get more volume out of your attack, instead of finding the power in putting down weight, I think you're almost snapping the string up a little bit more. So instead of doing that when you want more sound and thinking of the motion going up, try to think of the same exact attack that you already have. The only difference is, if this is what you're doing now, just push down more and have the same motion through the string in the same direction. So instead of this, through. Yeah. Can you show me just a really strong way down and follow through? Yeah. And can you show me, instead of going through the string to do like a rest stroke, can you try to do the same motion as your free stroke? Just way down and through. Exactly. More weight. So it's not that you have to squeeze this way or go up to try to get more sound. It's just kind of pushing into the string and like taking advantage of the tension that's already in the string. Same type of motion, same type of follow through. Can you try? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think that will make, when you get louder, it'll make the tone as nice as your regular tone, but with more power. And then the other thing, when you get soft, I think it can be another cool opportunity to do something else. So maybe instead of tosto, I would maybe try to do a little bit brighter so I don't lose definition of the softness. So if I start loud here in my neutral, it's not not that tosto is bad, it just can lose a little bit of that definition that I think is important in the basses. So can we do it maybe just one more time with a contrast and with a little bit more weight in these forte areas? Good, very, very good. So why don't we put it together now with the top part as well. And what I want to challenge you to do here is to try to find balance between bringing out the bass, but not matching the loudness of the bass to the top. So can you try really, really slow? And try to super, super exaggerate how strong you can make the basses and how weak you can make these little top notes.
Leonela, 5 minutes.
When it gets quieter here,
Mm-hmm.
do they maintain the same volume, or do you want them to be?
I think what I would do is move it in the range. So we have louder here, right? And for me, it would be like a block here. So this being the bass, being loud, and this being the top part. So if you're coming down, I would just move it down in a block. So if I'm doing this, so it can feel louder and softer relative to the general dynamic. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Loud again. Keep going. Okay, really great. Here, I would exaggerate this even more. And I like your idea of changing the dynamic to make contrast, but I would exaggerate it more. So it's like these two parts are talking to each other. So can you try that where you match the same energy, almost like it's saying something and then this is responding, saying something, responding. Really good, keep going. And then the same thing maybe here. And then here. Again. Softer. Softer. Yeah, really good. Really, really great job. I think what you just have to do is try to find a little bit more dynamic range, especially in trying to get something louder, and finding that by adding more weight into the guitar. So I think you should kind of consider those things with the attack, getting a little bit more weight in the thumb, and then all of the musical ideas that you have are excellent. Just exaggerate them more, because sometimes the way that we're playing for ourselves sounds a certain way, but it doesn't come across the same way when the audience hears it. And it really helps to record yourself, to listen to yourself, because you can really hear if what you were intending to do actually ended up sounding that way outside of the guitar. But great job. Yeah, just keep doing it. Yeah.